good afternoon. On behalf of the Iowa Department of Veterans Affairs and the staff here at the cemetery, I'd just like to welcome you and thank you for coming today. We will start right away with the military honors, so please rise as you are able, face the flag with a rifle salute and playing the taps.
United States Army, and a grateful nation. Please accept this flag as a symbol of appreciation for your loved ones' honorable and faithful service.
Speaker.
First of all, I'd just like to thank y'all for being here. I'm Emma, Tyler Pete's cousin. Michelle and I had the chance to visit in Houston a few weeks ago. It was a great time, fun as ever. So this is what he wanted, was a small funeral, just his family's friends and this military service meant everything to him. Okay, Pete was born as Theodore Nelson, no middle name. He had a sister said she remembers his mom adding Theodore Allen when he was in trouble, and I'm guessing for Pete that was quite often. He was nicknamed Pete by his grandmother, Agnes Nelson. Rumor always had it she didn't believe Theodore was a fitting name for a tiny baby, so Pete stuck. Pete was born to Albert H. Nelson Sr. and Gladys Crane Nelson on 11/5/1954. Surviving Pete is his wife Myrna, his children Michelle Nelson of Des Moines, John Paul Nelson, and his wife Krista of Des Moines, 3 grandchildren, Philip Huxford of Altoona, Lillian and Penelope Nelson of Des Moines, and 2 great-grandchildren, Jackson and Wyatt Huxford of Altoona. His siblings, Pat Nelson from California, Albert Nelson from Oregon, Livia Moore from New Mexico, Johnny Nelson from California, and Sharon Nelson, also from California. And they all regret they can't be here, but they all are having health issues themselves. Pete was preceded in death by his parents, Albert Nelson and Gladys Nelson. Now some funny stuff. Something you might not know about him is that he cheated death 3 times as a young child. First, at the age of 2, his family was living on a farm in Missouri. He was crawling around in the dirt wearing a diaper and found a puddle to pass through. And the puddle happened to have electric running through it. His dad seen it happening, but it was too late. When he got to Pete, Pete was not breathing and had an entry point on his leg and an exit on his shoulder where the electricity went through. His father, not knowing CPR, started tossing Pete up in the air and catching him, and suddenly Pete started breathing. And again, it was a long ride to get help at the hospital. Second time, Pete's aunt, Jenny, I believe, he had a lot of aunts, her car rolled out of gear, and Pete was laying behind the car in a blanket. You guess that the car rolled over his head this time. He ended up with a headache and some scrapes and bruises, but still alive. Third time, imagine Pete, being a child, messing around in the back seat of his mom's car as they were moving to California. Well, it happened. He opened the door with his foot, and out he went, head bouncing down the highway. Thank God his dad and the rest of the family was behind him in their bus. They had an old Volkswagen bus. His dad tells Patricia, Pete's sister, well, that's Pete on the side of the road. They stopped and picked him up, and then another trip to the hospital. Broke his shoulder, his ear was severed, along with many more scrapes and bruises. And if y'all remember the little scar that was along Pete's head, he always, rumor had he could have got fixed, but he said he got too much attention. People asked him so many questions about it, so he just left it. He lived most of his life here in Des Moines, where he had multiple jobs, trying to find his place or choice of job. From being the fry cook at McDonald's, making everyone laugh, from singing his favorite cooking song, "There's a skeeter on my Peter, knock it off. There's another on my cousin, knock it off." Well, those of you that work with Peter and hung out with him, you already know the ending of that song, not going to go any further. He worked for a cable company, drove a concrete truck, and ended up owning a spa repair company before moving back to California. He graduated from East High School in 1972 and eventually met Linda Gordon. They were married in 1977 and had 2 children, daughter Michelle Nelson of Des Moines and son John Paul Nelson of Des Moines. Pete enlisted in the Army in 1973 and was very proud of his Green Beret status. After a few years of serving the country, a family hardship happened and he was honorably discharged and sent home to take care of his dad. After returning, he was a roadie for the well-known Midwest band Pelican Peace Band, where he not only helped with the sound, but during band breaks, Pete would transform into Peanut, the fire-breathing Wonder Man from Tanzania, where he would dance around in a tutu, blow fire out of his mouth. I must say he was quite an entertainer. If Pete was making you laugh, he was in his happy place. As a result of his work with the band, Pete, along with the Pelican Peace Band, was inducted into the Iowa Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2004. People who knew Pete knew about the dangers of the old red Buick. He could have killed more than one of us in that thing. I'm sure the bumper sticker read, "Drive fast and take chances." Reaching speeds of 104 going down Southeast 14th Street with his passengers Tim, Gary, John, and possibly Louie, yelling slow down. To no avail, he pulled into Banner Coal Mine, only to blow out both rear tires in the woods while he was making his own off-road trail. No cell phones then. Those boys had to find a phone to call Pete's brother Albert. Sure enough, he showed up with the equipment to get them back on the road again. Or another time, when Pete bought wheels from Tony, and even after Tony told him he had to change the lug nuts, Pete, nah, it'll be fine. Again, 100 miles an hour down University Avenue, Tony yelling, "Let me out." Pete finally slows down, only because the light turned red and he had to take a right turn on Northeast 14th Street. And you guessed it, the passenger side front wheel fell straight off, not a lug nut in sight. There they were stranded again, and a phone call to Pete's dad, Albert, to come to the rescue. If I could describe Pete to someone, it would be the life of the party. He always wanted to leave you with a crazy story or a dumb dad joke, as Michelle called it. Answer the phone on the other end with his greeting of Negata Davida, and lots of times ending that phone call the same way, Negata Davida. And that was one of his favorite songs, as I remember playing over and over and over in the background. I think it was 20 minutes long each time. In late August of 1999, Pete signed up for a dating service. At the same time, Myrna signed up. Myrna was signing up after a prompting from her nephew. So as luck would have it, Pete showed up in the people she might like, and she didn't swipe left. They met 2 days later at the Olive Garden in Hayward, California. And 11 days later, they were married on September 2nd, 1999. Later, they moved to Houston, Texas for Myrna's work. Several years later, they moved back to Myrna's home country in the Philippines, where they resided until the news came about Pete's cancer. They returned to the Veterans Hospital in Houston, Texas, where Pete lost his battle with pancreatic cancer, passing at 9/14, April 8th, 2022.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to thank you all for joining me in the celebration of the life and legacy of our dearly beloved Pete. Thank you, Michelle, Johnny, Lydia, and family, his cousin Emma, for visiting him at the VA hospital in Houston. Thank you, John Paul, for your calls to your dad, for offering your home for me to stay for this memorial, and for taking charge of the reception. Thank you to everyone who brought food, cooked and prepared them, and volunteered to help in the reception. Thank you to all my family, relatives, and friends who supported us all the way, who prayed, called, texted, sent cards and financial help, and sympathies after Pete's passing. Thank you to the palliative team of Michael DeBakey, VA Medical Center in Houston. Thank you to the chaplain Sherlock Brown, who visited him in his room every day and offered a memorial service for him in the chapel. Thank you to the social workers who helped us, the interns at Baylor University. Last but not least, thank you to Pete's sister Pat and cousin Tim, who always called him when we were in the Philippines and never failed to answer Pete's calls anytime. As some of you have known, I met Pete online in 1999 while vacationing from the Philippines in my cousin's house in Alameda, California. We met in person after 3 days of chatting online and got married 11 days after that. Yes, 11 days. I know it's crazy, right? I had left for Seattle 3 days after our date, but little did I know that he would follow and propose to me at my friend's house a week before I was to head back to the Philippines. Torn between losing a man that I like and a lucrative career that I built back home, I threw my cares to the wind, followed my heart, and made the biggest decision in my life, marrying Pete in 11 days. And we have since been married for 22 years. Who knew that we would last that long? Neither did we. If I were to describe Pete in a few words, it would be kind, loving, patient, humble, and honorable. He was a kind and loving husband. He said, "I love you" every single day, and he showed it in his little caring ways to me and my entire family, to my sister Olive, his nanny Manang Lisa, even to the guards and janitors in the building where we live in Manila. When we lived in Seattle for 13 years, Pete would drive for me anywhere since I never drove back then. After we moved to Houston, he patiently taught me how to drive and made sure that I would pass the test and get a driver's license. He also helped my sister Susan as she practiced driving to work each morning. Good thing that Pete taught me how to drive, because 3 years after that, Pete suffered from a major stroke that left his left eye blind and prevented him from driving for life. Pete was a humble man with simple needs and wants. Though he loved his children and siblings so much, he would never ask big favors or special treatment from them. Talking to them or hearing from them occasionally was enough to make him happy. He never took advantage of anyone or anything, even if it was being offered to him. This was clearly evident when my cousin Janet would often treat us out to dinner. He would always order the least expensive food from the menu. As a veteran of the U.S. Army and the Elite Forces Green Beret, Pete had fought defending his country during the Vietnam War in the 70s. He would often tell stories of his harrowing wartime experiences that cropped up with his famous spam jokes. His military training and discipline had developed in him a strong sense of character and moral values. When Hurricane Harvey hit Houston in 2017, he discouraged me from applying for FEMA assistance for the water leak on the roof damage in our home, saying that there were other people who were in more dire situations that needed help. As a loyal soldier that he would always believe and do what is true, just, and honorable. He never compromised his principles for the sake of being accepted. Pete appreciated everything that I did for him. His last words before he went into morphine grip was, "You are a godsend to me." He was very understanding. When I said my mom needs me to take care of her at the hospital in Manila, Pete said, "I understand, and I will go with you." Honey, Thank you for sharing 22 years of your life with me, for all the wonderful memories that we have lived together, sharing all encounters. Thank you for loving me for who I am and who I am not. For everything that you are to me and everything that you have done for me, my heartfelt thanks. I feel relieved that you are free from physical hurts and pains now. I will surely miss you, but love you forever in my big heart. Go forth and rest in peace with God. Let me end by sharing an excerpt of our favorite song. I know you know, God, how much I love Him. Please take care of Pete away. Please take care of my Pete away. Thank you all so much for coming.
These are the casings from the shells that were fired today.
Yeah, thank you.
This does conclude the service today. Just a moment, I'll be taking Aaron over to section 2, which you drove past on the way in. The temporary mark will be placed with his information today, and then the permanent stone will be ordered here soon. Once we get that ordered, it's usually about 6 to 8 weeks for that to come in, and we'll give you a call and let you know once it's been placed. You are all free to go, but if you would like to go to the site, I just ask that you wait here. I will take that urn over, hand it off to our staff, and then I'll come back, and when they're finished, they'll let me know, and then I'll take you over there, walk you down to the site. Yep, I believe there's a reception in Van Meter, right? So if you're not sure where that's at, just as you're leaving the cemetery, take a left, go into town, it's less than a mile. As soon as you cross the railroad tracks, take a left, and then it'll be right there. And then while I'm taking the urn over, you've got some flowers that you'd like to hand out?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Anybody who wants to join us at the gravesite, we have flowers to lay at the gravesite over his remains. I'll pass them out.
No, we need, if you want to write, you can write. Me, I cannot. I have to write. I figured out. Holding the mic.
Hey, I'm just jealous. I didn't. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. I'm surprised we survived. Yeah. Your dad came back from boot camp. We had a big woodsy party.
Do it.
Let's say the prayer.
Yeah.
Do you want a rose now? Yeah.
Okay.
Eternal rest, grant to the soul of Pete, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon him. May he rest in peace. Amen.
Okay. Put your flowers. Your flowers.
Back here.
Your flowers.
Look at all those flowers. Come here, Penny. Come here. Oh, is it cold? Yeah. Oh, why did you turn around? How you want me to hold you like this? Very straight.
Okay.
Finish putting them on there?
Seriously? Children.
Okay, let's go to the reception. Okay. Honey, we're going. We love you. Take care.
Say bye.
Say hello to your mom, your dad, and my family that you know. Amen. Okay, let's go. It's so cold. Okay.
Are you going home?
So now you know at least.
Yeah, we know where he's at.